welcome back to another color grading video. Today we're going to be doing a sort of how to get a professional flare on your footage, especially Sony footage. This is a Sony FX30 with a zoom lens. It's not even a cinema lens. The first thing to do is convert the footage, of course. So as usual, we're doing S-Log3 to DaVinci Wide Gamma and DaVinci Intermediate, which is going to be our working color space. And then I'm taking it from DaVinci Wide Gamma, DaVinci Intermediate to Rec 7 and 9, Gamma 2.4, very standard stuff. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to have contrast. Here we're going to have balance, and then we're going to sort of formulate our look down here. So I usually like to do exposure and sort of color balancing first. So let's start with the exposure, and I'm going to take the qualifier and just click on his skin, and that should give us a point around middle grey, because I tried to expose this pretty accurately. It's slightly lower than I could have gone a little bit higher, but I wanted to maintain a lot of saturation so that we can play around with it in post. So I'm going to leave that where it is, and then I'm just going to make a point here and just bring this down, something like this, and then I'm going to take another point and create a nice S-curve, and you can see just in 10 seconds we've already transformed it just by adding contrast. And I much prefer doing it this way than using the contrast slider, just because, I don't know, I just feel like you've got more control. You can use it if you want, but yeah, I always like using the curve. I do want to have this pretty accurate, and I'm not really trying to create a look that's super cool or warm or in a particular direction. So we're just going to keep this, we want to try and keep his skin on that indicator line. So I'm going to go to gamma linear, and then in the gain wheel I'm just going to bring it over a touch. I'm just looking at the vector scope to see where that line is going. So we've taken a little bit of red out of his skin, you can just tell, and I think this is a good starting point. So balance and contrast, there we go. We've taken the footage to a nice starting point, and now we can actually start building the look. So what I'm going to go for is a sort of saturated, kind of warm-ish feel, and I really want him to pop out from the background. He's already popping out quite a lot in terms of the exposure levels, as we can see, but I'm going to do something in our custom curves here. So first of all, let's take his jacket. In fact, let's do the green first. So if I want to select any of the green, I can just pick up the qualifier, click, and I'm going to bring this open a little bit more. And we're just going to crank this up a little bit, not too much. Okay, and actually let me just call this curves. There we go. And then I'm going to take hue versus hue, and we're just going to take his jacket and make it a little bit more sort of cyan, because I think this blue, it's kind of like a bluish purple, and it's like popping out a little bit too much. So I'm just going to bring that up. I quite like where the green is sitting, to be honest. I mean, we could play with it if we wanted to, but I mean, you can make it look a little bit more autumnal, so already that's looking good. We would want to, if you want to use your hue versus hue to really change the color of a particular thing, I'd highly recommend really pulling out those side points so that you don't get any ugly artifacting. So you can see here, this looks pretty clean, to be honest. Whereas if I brought these a lot tighter, right, and now I brought this up, can you see how we've got a lot of this green still sort of seeping in there, which of course we don't want. So I'm just going to delete these points, and let's leave that as is for the time being. Now here I'm going to go into the color slice tool, and we're going to just dial in the individual saturation and densities of our different hues. So I'm going to go to, let's go to our green, and we can play around with it a little bit. So this is saturation, and this is going to really make this green super dense. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to increase the color density by taking this density slider and just dialing it up a little bit. And you can see this is already creating, it's almost kind of vignetting him out of everything else, but we're bringing down all of this green, but we're sort of keeping the saturation in the same place. So if I go to the vector scope, it's coming back a little bit, but the idea is that we are introducing color density, which just makes it look rich and super juicy. And we can see what we want to do with the skin as well. I don't want to make it I don't want to go too crazy. I think we're in a good place, to be honest. I don't want to pop him out too much or make him look too tanned or pale. So maybe somewhere around here. And if we go before and after. So I'm going to go back on my curve and give him a little bit more saturation on his face. And always go too far and pull it back and see where you want to take it. So just a tiny bit, just a little bit. Okay, and now finally is going to be our window. So let's name the node and let's create a window around him. Feather it out. Then I'm going to click here to invert the window, and you can see from the node tree what it's going to be doing. So if I make adjustments now, it's outside of the window, and I can zoom in a bit, and I'm going to just decrease the gamma a tiny bit, not too much, just keep it subtle. And if I go on and off now, we're just creating a nice little vignette around him. Also, if you wanted to, you could add some blur. So this might be a little bit too heavy, but you can see what we're doing. Yeah, it's just making him pop out like crazy. So if we look at where we started from and where we've ended up, it's really quite incredible what you can do. And I think hueing that jacket has made such a huge difference. It just blends in so much nicer. Now I might think that, okay, what if the background might be a bit too dark? So then I can go back in my window, bring some level back, and here now you can go back in your curves. If you decide you want to bring the highlights up more, then you can do that. Things are always subject to change, right? So you can always go back and make adjustments. But I hope that you guys found this useful. It's pretty simple. There's nothing crazy that we've done here, but I think looking at it in camera, it looks good already. It doesn't now that we've graded it, but just in a few minutes we're able to create a look it just looks juicy and saturated and deep, you know. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I will see you in the next one.